Because the Night is an immersive theatre show created by the Malthouse Theatre that uses Hamlet as a springboard, where we remove the audience from a seating bank and let an audience roam around an installation-like space where actors are telling out a story, and like a choose-your-own-adventure, you can follow the actors, explore the set to find out what the secrets are in this 1980s logging town called Elsinore. My name is Matt Lutton. I'm the Artistic Director and Co-CEO of the Malthouse Theatre. I'm also the director and one of the writers of Because the Night. This has been a massive project for us, and throughout all of it we've been collecting video footage and documentation of how this show is put together. So we're going to take you on a journey back through what we've collected to build this show, Because the Night. Welcome to Because the Night. At the moment, everything is happening simultaneously. So I'm working on the second draft of the text with the other two writers, Kamara Bell-Wykes and Ra Chapman. But we're also working on the design, and at the same time, we're also building the design before we've even finished the design. So there's this like constant, I don't know how to describe it yet. We're racing ahead and doing everything simultaneously. So at the moment, this is the structure that will create the gymnasium, which is one of the rooms that the audience first encounter. This is one room, and there are 32 rooms across nearly 1,600 square metres. So they're just starting with the frames. We just did a walkthrough today with the company to get a sense of the scale, which is exciting and overwhelming. I mean, the experience of the show should be one where you get lost in it. That's why it's called immersive theatre. You don't really know you shouldn't know where you are and completely disappear into it for 90 minutes. At the moment, I'm thinking a lot about timelines, a lot about how to actually bring all these elements together at the right pace simultaneously. It's a big process of, as we build something, we learn more about it, so we're constantly evolving as we go. At the moment, I'm particularly thinking about masks, and because we have an audience idea that they wear a costume of sorts that creates an anonymity for them, but also lets them not overwhelm the space visually. And I'm not too sure whether they should wear masks or whether we'll be sick of wearing masks by the time we come next year. So I'm really trying to work out what that experience is. I'm also trying to work out, a bit worried about how to make sure the audience feel like they know the rules of this show and feel really confident in it and don't feel like they're missing out in a bad way. So I'm trying to work out how to induct the audience into the show. Working with the writing team has actually been one of the most thrilling processes I've ever done. We're basically working in like a TV writing room process. So the three writers, Ra Chapman, Kamara Bell-Wykes and myself. First of all, the way the process started was I did a master plot, less about narrative, but using the characters from Hamlet that we were interested in and mapping a spatial map. So thinking through, we've got 6 characters, 3 audience groups, and where they might move throughout the space and how to create fluidity. And then I also made a scene map of those movements. And then I presented that to the writers, and we spent a week pulling it apart and really digging into it dramaturgically. And there was an amazing week of then world building. So we sort of built up an enormous amount of information about characters. Our dramaturg Mark Pritchard wrote an Elsinore wiki page. Here he is. It's an evolving wiki page that has everything from the history to the industry to the politics to the spirituality of this fictional town. And then we divided the 30 scenes between us and went to write 10 scenes each. And it was thrilling because all of us were writing in our own voices and our own style, but all accessing the same world. There was actually incredible moments of synchronicity when we realised we were actually writing about the same pieces of mythology without even talking to each other. So that was really thrilling. But it's absolutely about a collective writing process. Like, it feels like the scale of the work feels less overwhelming because we're sharing it.
Hey Goff, what are you working on?
Hey Annie, Before the Night.
What are these?
So we're laying all the timber frames out at the moment so we can build all the walls. So I'm just working out all the openings and making them, don't let Dale know, the designers, I'm changing a few things so that it's legal. So I'm just making it, the access is a bit wider. No one will notice, but maybe they will now that I've said something.
We'll keep it secret.
Yeah.
So over here, that space there,
That's
where is
Claudia's
that on the
space.
plan?
So we're looking at it like that. So that's Claudia's room, laying out all the top and bottom plates, as you would call them in the building industry. And we're basically just going to, at the moment, concentrating on building this side of the theatre. Yeah?
Is there any big thing that makes this different to a normal theatre show?
Huge. There's just so much happening, so it's evolving a lot more. You know, like on a normal build, I can sit down for 3 days. It's like building an apartment block. You know, especially the triangle roof, which is going to be about 7 metres high. It's high. It's the bottom of the gang.
Oh, jeez.
The logistics of, you know, working out how to build that, clad it, paint it with the logs in there and a rock in there, and then installing a ceiling.
Yeah.
That's hard. I've got an idea. They normally come at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
What's your idea today?
My idea of building that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to wait.
Okay.
Top secret.
Well, we better leave you to it then.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate.
So tell us who you are.
I'm Dave Fransky, and I'm doing the sound for the Because the Night. I brought in a few toys for some of the rooms. I brought in an old 1980s Sony parabolic reflector for spying on people. So people can have that in the security room and go around and listen to other people's conversations, which I think a lot of that's going on. We've allocated microphones in a number of the spaces so we can actually put conversations in other places and things like that. I've got an old matching tape deck that actually works, an old Sony Revox. And I brought my entire 1980s cassette tape collection complete with Smiths, Husker Du, Pink Floyd, you know, you name it, it's there. We've even got Victorian frogs.
Of course.
Yeah, there's plenty of amazing sounds there, and some of these tapes are super crazy high quality.
Is there anything you're particularly excited about this project, like that it's kind of cracked any potential, or I don't know, something that's really fascinating you?
No, it's it's probably more taking what I already know about using triggers and that kind of thing, that I've used a lot of modern dance and stuff over the last 15 years doing kind of more simplified versions of what we're doing here, but this is like the culmination of, it's like I feel super confident that we can do this and it will work in a non-linear way, and we can, you know, it can be like a quantum thing that this happens here and all of these events can kind of go away a bit so we can focus on this space, and then it will just go back. So it will breathe, the whole place will be a breathing, living organism driven by the performers is what I'm envisaging for this. So it's the opposite of like your linear words, go, go, go show. It's actually completely, as far as I'm concerned, got to be driven by performers roving around through the space, and it'll really, I think, it's going to be probably the best thing in terms of changing the way we perceive performance. I think it's really going to be a good one.
My name is Kisra Shakur, I'll be playing Hamlet.
And my name is Tally Faraday and I'm playing Ophelia.
We're just at the end of week 1 of rehearsals at Because the Night, and it is looking really exciting. I think the most exciting part for me is being able to do such a fun script in a set where we have to basically do a maze, which is amazing.
And what sort of stuff do you do in the week 1 of a normal rehearsal process, Tali?
So week 1, first day is a lot of induction, like we learn about the space and we do the OH&S and learn about the company.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah, and get to know everyone that's in the cast and the other cast as well. And then we do a lot of text work to start with to see like what the scene is about and loose blocking of the scene, and then just get up and have a go. And also a read with everyone, with the whole company, so you can meet the people marketing and box office, so you really feel supported by everyone that's in the building.
So Melbourne is in lockdown again, and I'm coming to you from my home. I'm Bridget Velotis. I'm the assistant director on Because the Night, and we are about to do 3 days, hopefully just 3 days, of rehearsal on Zoom. Take a look and I'll let you know how we go.
They don't want to use violence.
No one does.
But they are willing to.
Well, they're human after all.
Yes. And they're willing to do what it takes.
To get what they want.
It just grounds us in the relationship together a little bit more at the start.
Yeah. The 17th of February, and they've just announced that we can go back to the rehearsal room tomorrow, thank God. We actually made really good use of our time on Zoom, just spent a bit more time talking about the text, drilling lines, just doing everything that we could. That's, I guess, yeah, really coming back to the text. But I have to tell you, we are keen to get bodies back up on the floor and glad that we've only lost 3 days in the space. So hopefully that's the only lockdown we encounter this rehearsal period.
We need to leave now. Laertes, one.
On the lunch.
Don't do it.
In the sense that it should be obvious, it said I'll speak to her.
I'm Harvey and I'm playing Laertes.
And what are we about to do?
We're about to see the set for the first time. I haven't seen it since it was pretty much just a blank shell.
Yeah, and what are you most pumped about?
All the little details that are going to be in every room to discover for us and for you guys.
All right, here we go.
Let's go.
So I'm just down here with Cecily, who's one of our stage managers, and what we are about to do is, as you can hear, they're still building, but what we're about to do is run around the set and time ourselves how long it takes to get from this room to that room, how long it takes to get from one end to the other, just because at the moment, with the actors running lines upstairs and working out their plots, that is the one thing they don't know, how long it takes to get around.
We've just had our first evening in the theatre.
In the space, so we're just right now blocking through, making sure that we didn't make any crazy decisions in the rehearsal room that will never work in here. Has any of that happened for you yet?
No, everything's working pretty well.
Smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing, better than expected, so...
Going into my dreams. Or maybe these are just memories of stories that Mum read to me as a kid. She was always...
Us, because the night belongs to us.
Hi, I'm Amelia, I'm the lighting designer.
And what have we been doing? Where are we in the process?
We are about 2 or 3 days into the tech rehearsal, so it's the moment where finally the sound, the design, the lighting all comes together with the actors, and it's pretty exciting on a project like this.
And what is different doing the tech for Because the Night? What's different?
The difference with this is that the entire show is basically a roving show, so like the actors, I'm following everyone around trying to get to all the different rooms to balance the lighting and everything and make sure that all the cues are going at the right time. Usually you do that from a production desk in one spot, but I have to just keep chasing actors.
Cute!
The timeline for Because the Night was very unique. At the Malthouse, we would usually spend probably 2 years to 3 years from the beginning of talking about a show to when we have the opening night. This is a show, because of COVID, that we started talking about in July or August last year, and here we are in April. So it's just over 9 months from really very first conception and beginning to talk about it all the way to the premiere. So this is the largest show that the Malthouse has ever made, but in the shortest period of time. For Because of the Night, we did a test audience week, and that's something that we've never done before. We typically do previews, but previews are when we have a paid audience coming in, but we're still watching and evolving the show. Test audience was free tickets to some select groups. We did about 8 to 10 shows of test audiences, and this was vital because the audience was such an unknown and integral part of Because the Night. So they freaked us out when they first came in, to be honest. We didn't know how they were going to respond, and what we realised was that the audiences all respond and treat the show differently. Some of them really follow the character and the narratives and are very focused on following the actors. Others are deeply involved in the design and not so interested in the actors, but really want to study the props, the objects and the secrets. And then there was a third group which we didn't anticipate, which were those that treat it like an escape room. So those that look at the entire set as a set of clues and are trying to constantly solve those clues. And what it meant was we had to realise that those were the different types of audiences, and a test audience is where we're gaining feedback. So we're also listening to their feedback, but also aware that everyone was approaching it differently. So we couldn't take one person's feedback to mean we changed the whole show to suit them, but realising we keep adjusting all different parts of the show, but to satisfy all those audiences that are inevitably going to come and see the work.
I'm Brennan Jelly, I'm one of the venue technicians here at Malthouse Theatre, and this is where the show is run from. We don't really operate the show, the actors actually operate the show using a bunch of triggers and buttons and things hidden throughout the space. But our stage managers walk around the show with iPads so that they can monitor what's going on with the show. I monitor the show from here. I can see on this screen where people are playing with things. I can see where people have picked up phones in the set. I can see where people have touched buttons or played with triggers and things. There's lots of little hidden things to find, and that's how I can keep track of it there. So I know if something goes wrong, I can fix it from here. This is the master computer, which connects to the 6 different QLab systems in the whole show. This QLab system here is just for the room we're in. It alone controls 40 different audio sends and 17 microphone inputs. I have my lighting console over there, which is again networked to 2 other lighting consoles around the building. There are 38 different spaces across the whole building, which needs obviously different lighting cues, different sound cues. And I tallied it up earlier. It works out to 5,625 cues across 53 different QLab cue lists. The whole thing is networked together, so if there is a problem during the show, I can screen share to a neighbouring computer in a totally different building, and I can identify where a problem might be and hopefully try and fix it. One of the most difficult things about this show, because all the actors are spread out, is how they possibly could know when a scene has finished on one side of the building and they're on the other side of the building. An actor might press a button in their room, they've finished their scene, that'll send an audio signal to a totally different computer in a totally different building, which will then send a signal to that room. A piece of audio plays, that actor knows their scene's finished and they can move to the next room.
Right now we have opened Because the Night, which we had an opening week last week of many performances. This week is actually the first of our 50th performance, so the cast have already been performing for quite a while. We're into the groove now. As a director, I got sick this week because this is inevitably what happens. After we've opened the show, the adrenaline of the last few months has passed. My body has collapsed. I'm going to have a rest. And I also start going into a new mode where I will check in on the cast every week as they start performing and keeping the maintenance and keeping the show ticking along as audiences come through. Because the Night, personally for me, is a show I think that I'm going to carry with me for a long time. I've never done a process as an artist where we've written in a collaborative team like this, where I've been a writer working with other writers, and that's really inspired me to look at that process going forward in my own artistry. It's also, I'm very excited by the idea of taking a classic as a springboard, like we did with Hamlet here, and just as a springboard, it's not an adaptation, but relocating that to a more fantastical world. That's an approach that I haven't done in the past, and again, it's something I really want to take forward. It's also, for the company, it's the idea of all coming together on one show that can at the same time reach out to an even broader audience, new audience members, is I think something we've realised can really energise the company, bring new people in, and I can't promise this, but I feel like this is something we'll want to do every few years. There's these moments where you want to all come together, regroup, and also open the doors to a whole lot of new audiences in Melbourne and invite them in.